Hello, everyone, and welcome. Welcome to Berry Farm. My name is Shantae Vines, and I'm so glad to be here with you today. I am a proud member of the Berry Farm community. Almost 20 years ago, my parents, my brother and sister, and I moved to Berry Farm. For nearly 10 years, I have helped others in this area better themselves through my work with the Far Southeast Family Strengthening Collaborative. Not long after my family moved to Berry Farm in 2006, we learned that the other people living along these blocks were more than our neighbors. They were our community. And that community is what makes Berry Farm so special. It is a community that is welcoming, inviting, family-oriented, and close-knit. In other words, we look out for each other. Our community is also strong, united, and righteous. And we have a strong sense of service, just like the generations that came before us who made their homes here while working to bring about positive change for themselves and their loved ones. The activism of Berry Farm residents contributed to the movements that desegregated schools and advanced tenants' rights, just to name a few. Spending my childhood here instilled in me the importance of civic engagement, collaboration, and hard work. I use these skills as a resident neighborhood advisor, helping to make sure this redevelopment project considered the rights and interests of me and my community. And today, as I stand in front of the Asberry, I can truly say this is a positive change. I am glad my family, friends, and loved ones will have the opportunity to live in polished, modern homes while continuing the legacy of those that came before us. The Asberry is a place where our seniors can begin to rebuild our community and make me hopeful and excited about the Edmondson and the next phases of this redevelopment. Berry Farm is where my heart is, and again soon it will be where I lay my head too. I thank you, Mayor Muriel Bowser, the DC Housing Authority, the Deputy Mayor's Office for Planning and Economic Development, the Preservation of Affordable Housing, and all the other partners who helped make this positive change possible. And now I am honored to introduce to you the leader of our great city, DC Mayor Muriel Bowser.
I have a very long speech, not much of a voice, so I'm going to make this a shorter speech. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be in the great Ward 8, is it not? So let's give Shantae another round of applause for her wonderful words on behalf of the community. We hear her joy, pride, and optimism, and I dare say it is contagious. We were just here at the beginning of the week for the ribbon cutting of the new Go-Go Museum in historic Anacostia. And we're back here today to deliver on another promise, a promise that we made to make sure that we brought back this community in a way that is reflective of Ward 8 and that Ward 8 deserves. So we are standing here looking at one of my prides and joy, the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. And so I frequently talk about it. It's the largest infrastructure project in DC history. And I'm proud that it represents really over $600 million of investment and collaboration with DC businesses. And I'm proud, too, that now when people talk about DC, they show the White House and the Capitol, but they also show those arches on the Frederick Douglass Memorial Bridge. It's a connection, as we stood on the bridge when it opened, between our neighborhoods at the time, between Ward 6 and Ward 8. Now I think it's between Ward 8 and Ward 8. That's right? It's between Ward 8 and Ward 8. But what it demonstrates is that a river won't divide us. that we're all a ward city, and we are as strong as everyone thrives. And so that's why this beautiful bridge is so symbolic in many ways. Another thing that we will do together as a community will be in Ward 2 at the Marion Asberry building, which is 441, one of our government buildings, this Saturday. We will remember the mayor for life. Saturday will mark 10 years since his passing. And I'm reminded of a promise I made to him. And if you knew Marion Barry, you would know why this was so important to him to say and for me to agree to. And that was that I promised as mayor to do more for Ward 8 than any of my predecessors, including him, were able to do. I didn't make that promise lightly, and I know I stand here today, almost 10 years as your mayor, knowing that it's true. That together we have invested over $1 billion in keeping promises in Ward 8. And even with that, we know that there's so much more to do. We can look here at Berry Farm or at St. Elizabeth's. We'll be together in a few months at our new hospital. We can look at the MLK Gateway, black-owned businesses along every major corridor. We can look at the Safe Commercial Corridor Hub in Anacostia or the Clara and Mapleview Flats. All of those things we've been able to do together, and it's a testament to having a vision. Without vision, the people will perish. And so for those who demanded more for Berry Farm, thank you. For the community who said we will not be moved without a promise to return, thank you. For the architects and developers and construction workers who said that these communities will stand shoulder to shoulder with any community in how they look, the amenities they offer, and how they operate. We say to them, thank you. So we're approaching Thanksgiving, and we have a lot to celebrate, don't we? We have a lot to be thankful for. We have a lot of reasons to lock arms, too. We have a lot of reasons to work even harder, don't we? We have a lot of reasons to be thankful for our partners at the D.C. Housing Authority. Let's acknowledge Keith Pettigrew, the director of DCHA, POA, the Preservation of Affordable Housing. We thank them. To our Berry Farm resident and neighbor advisors, the Southeast Strengthening Collaborative, the Berry Farm Tenant Association, advisory neighborhood commissioners, and so many people who are bringing us to this first groundbreaking, to this first ribbon cutting. Our government partners at DC Finance Agency, the DC Green Bank, and of course our team at DMPED, led by Deputy Mayor Nina Albert. All of us have a big task. We have a big task to live up to reflect the history of Berry Farm, a home for recently freed people in our city. Berry Farm, for so many years, represented what freedom looks like. And our promise under our new communities initiatives is that we return good, quality, safe, affordable housing to our deserving residents of Ward 8. That starts today at the Asberry at Berry Farm, and the start of fulfilling our promises. 108 all-affordable homes with replacement units for people who lived at Berry Farm. And residents will be coming home, and new residents will be joining them. And of the 235 D.C. residents who helped build the Asberry, 53 live right here in Ward 8. And 46% of the infrastructure jobs so far at this site have been filled by D.C. residents. And many of them came from the DC Infrastructure Academy. And so we'll continue to deliver on our promises with the next building. And I've frequently said throughout my career in elected office, especially when it comes to economic development, that nothing stays the same. We have to work together to change it, improve it, and make it serve all of us. because if we don't, we will watch our communities decline. So I'm glad to be here today. I'm glad that we're not just talking about buildings or units, but we're talking about real people, real residents of the District of Columbia who will get to experience their new homes here at Berry Farm. So with that, I want to acknowledge your council member, who will be followed by Keith Pettigrew. Council member.
It's a great day in Ward 8. I'm excited this morning. I want to thank you, Mayor Bowser, for your commitment. I was here when you made some of those promises, and we're seeing the beginning of bringing those 144 residents back to Berry Farm community. I want to begin by thanking our Deputy Mayor Albert, Executive Director of DC Housing Authority, Mr. Pettigrew, Roger Brown, our own DC native, also Muriel Bowser. Give them a round of applause from POA. They've been leading the effort. I want to thank Ms. Shante Vines. Also acknowledge Dion Reeder from Far Southeast. Where's Dion? Hey, she put that coat on. Yes, that's right. We also are joined by one of our Berry Farm natives who leads our Goodman League right behind us, Mr. Miles Ross. Give it up, Sarge. Berry Farm is a unique landmark here in D.C. I remember when I went to college, I played basketball for Ballou. You might not think I played basketball, but I played basketball for Ballou, and I had my jersey on. I walked into the cafeteria my freshman year. They like, man, people think you live in Southeast, you from Berry Farm. Like, you from Berry Farm? Like, nah, not necessarily, but we close. And this is a testament that this property, this land, that people who were formerly slaves and became free, created a landmark where residents can come still live here, stay here, and eventually own here. Say amen? Because part of this vision is to create not just renters, but owners here in our great Ward 8, and also business owners. Huh, Miss Shaking? Where's my ear? Business owners, right? You know, I've been on that for like 5-6 years now. But not only are we celebrating the 108 residents will be joining us in this building, as the mayor stated, we'll be celebrating the groundbreaking for the Edmiston, who will be housing the 139 multiple family units. I want to shout out to the family of Mr. Senker, Asberry Senker. The family, Mr. Senker, here, raise your hand. Give it up for the residents here who came back, and we honor this man. There we go. I had the privilege of meeting Mr. Senker so many times, walking up and down here. At that time, you think he was like in his early 80s at the time, and he always had a joke. It was little corny jokes, but nonetheless, Tendana, you know, he always had his jokes, man. I love and miss him. And I think about people like Miss Farrell. I used to come to the Berry Farms meeting probably about 18 years ago. I was a younger man, and there was certain people that were on the front line fighting for equity and inclusion in this community for black people that no longer here. They should be honored. Marion Berry, James Bunn. There are a plethora of people who've been on the front line making sure that this comes to fruition. So in closing, I want to celebrate black excellence. There are residents in D.C. that just don't know if this is a place where we're going to come and grow. And so we keeping our commitment, Mayor Bowser, as leaders in the city, to say we are here to stay, not just to rent, but to own our own businesses, our own homes, and to fight for equity and inclusion right here in our great city, the great Washington, D.C. I want to, in closing, I want to just thank the residents of Berry Farm, the Resident Council, the Tenant Association, all the advocates. Tendani, raise your hand, Tendani. We've been in the front line in Berry Farm for decades, just giving programs to people in our community. I know there are people that may forget, but this is big for me. It's big for those who will be returning back home right here to Berry Farms. I want to thank you guys for your commitment and dedication to a phase of bringing equity and inclusion back to the great Ward 8. Thank you. God bless.
Morning. Oh, man. What a great day, right? First of all, to Mayor Bowser, thank you for the introduction and your leadership on affordable housing. Councilmember White, thank you, man, for championing the people, as always. And Ms. Vines, thank you for your patience, right? and being an active resident. That's what it's all about, right? It's always good to bring residents back to their community. And I tell people that all the time, wherever I've worked, is that this is their community too. And so they have a right to return, number one, and they have a right to be proud of what comes back, number two. And so as long as I'm sitting in this chair, all residents will have that right. So thank you. Before I get started, which I have very few words because a lot of stuff has been covered, I took toured at Memory Lane. I took some of my staff around and showed them some of the places way back in the day. And it's funny because I had some relatives who used to live on Payne Terrace, and I remember the Miles Long was down at the bottom of the hill. And so I took them up the hill, pulled into Payne Terrace because it's a little cul-de-sac, right? I'm like, man, it's changed a little bit up here, right? Then I took them down the Service Road because Sheridan Terrace was across the Parkway. And I showed them on Sales Place. I had some other cousins that lived on Sales Place back there behind there. And I'll never forget, my mom whooped my butt one time because we were over there playing on the rooftop. And word got back that I was on the rooftop playing. And so, nevertheless, I'll never forget. Yeah, also I was telling my driver who was driving, I said, man, remember, I said, everybody remembers the Big K liquor store, but they forget that the police department was right across the street, right? And then I heard Ray Essence used to use it as a studio back in the day. So, so there's a lot of history here in Anacostia, right? And Barry Farms in general. Farms, to me, is the heartbeat of Anacostia. And it's always been that way. Even in the down times, it's always been that heartbeat. And it's so good to be here to be able to bring this community back and start to revitalize it the way that it should be represented. So, today, with the first building completed and the groundbreaking of a second, that marks another milestone in this community's long-awaited return. Today's ribbon cutting for the Asberry represents an opportunity for DCHA families to live in new, modern homes that are part of a healthy and thriving community. The Asberry creates a foundation for reestablishing the vibrant, spirited Barry Farm community for generations to come. And that foundation will grow with today's groundbreaking of the Edmondson. This is a beautiful representation of the mayor's and DCHA's vision for more affordable housing in the city. Altogether, it is our hope that the revitalized Barry Farm neighborhood provides fertile ground for new and returning residents to plant their roots and reestablish this vibrant community. So many people deserve thanks today, and a lot of them have been identified already, but again, I'll reiterate some because it notes reiteration. First and foremost, obviously, our incredible Mayor Bowser and her commitment to affordable housing throughout the city of Washington, D.C. To the Deputy Mayor's Office of Planning and Economic Development, it always goes without saying that our development partner, the Preservation of Affordable Housing, POA. Also, I want to thank DHCD, DCHFA, my man Chris Donald. What I got to do without you, brother, right? The Office of Planning, J.P. Morgan, National Affordable Trust, D.C. Green Bank, and the Public Service Commission. And finally, before I introduce our next speaker, as Councilmember White so rightly announced, I want to give a big shout out to Miles Rawls. All right, and I've never officially met Miles, but everybody knows of Miles. But the main thing about Miles is that Miles' incredible work and dedication with that Goodman League kept this community going. No, brother, seriously. This brother's incredible work and dedication to the Goodman League kept this community going through difficult and trying years. Miles, I appreciate you, brother. Now, I'm pleased to introduce from POA as Vice President of Real Estate Development, Maya Shanklin Roberts. I got it right?
Good afternoon. I am so excited. Today we celebrate the ground opening of the Asberry and breaking ground on the Edmondson. Together, these projects deliver 247 units of affordable housing and over 25,000 square feet of new commercial space in the Barry Farm Hillsdale community. These projects will employ over 500 DC residents and provide over $42 million in contracts to CBEs, many of whom are minority-owned businesses. But this is just the beginning. We at Preservation of Affordable Housing are committed to ensuring that the residents of Barry Farm are stably housed and have real access to economic mobility, that our buildings are resilient and incorporate green and sustainable design, that we continue to collaborate and push our partners until all 900 units and 40,000 square feet of commercial space is built, including the 380 replacement units and 100 for-sale units. This project will be a community colored with bright notes of arts and culture that will feel and sound like the chocolate city I was raised in. So thank you, Mayor Bowser, DCHA, DMPED, for your commitment to the vision of new communities and the master plan established by the Berry Farm and Raid Road residents over 15 years ago. To our financing partners, NHT, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan Chase, DC Green Bank, the Public Service Commission, and DCHFA for making sure we had the funding to get these projects done. To the designers of these beautiful buildings, EDG Architects, who did the Asberry, and Grimm and Parker, who designed the Edmondson. Thank you. To Hamill, our GC, and all of the subcontractors for constructing both buildings and the infrastructure that supports them. Thank you to our partners, Bowman, Traynot, K Group, Bradley Site Design, Passive Positive, New Columbia Solar, Determined by Design, Klein Hornick, Holland and Knight, Drummond Park Projects, Kelsey Glass, and countless others whose expertise and dedication have brought life to these two incredible buildings. To the Berry Farm POA team and leadership, I appreciate you. We are doing it. But most importantly, thank you to the community and residents who continue to be patient and hold us accountable. We are only here because of you. As a native Washingtonian, I stand with you. I understand the fear of displacement and gentrification. I understand the demand to have place within the community that you call home. So as I've said many times before, stay with me. Our promise to deliver a catalytic project rooted in equity, Blackness, and community is real. We will preserve the legacy of self-determination established by the freedmen who built homes and established the Hillsdale community in 1867, and continued by the Band of Angels, the Berry Farm Tenant Association, Junkyard Band, Miles Rawls and the Goodman League, Emily Edmondson and Mr. Asberry Sanker, and many others. So when you walk the halls of the Asberry this afternoon, I hope you feel all of that. The art curated by Malik Lee reflects the story of this community and the change we want to see. This is the People's Farm. So remember, this is just the beginning. See you next summer for the celebration of yet another phase. So thank you all. And I think we're going to come up and do the ribbon cutting and groundbreaking at this time.